All right, hi, and welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Network. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. Today, we're going to be talking some Carolina Panthers football, and we've got Sheena Quick, reporter for Panthers Fox Sports 1340, and her own show, Quick Out of the Blocks. How's it going today, Sheena?
It's going good here in Houston, trying to keep cool. We have a day off between practice was yesterday and the second preseason game is tomorrow at noon.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining us. Before we jump into the questions, just want to remind everybody, please hit that subscribe button, like button, leave those comments. We love to hear from you. And jump over to fantasy6pack.net. Our all access memberships are always available. You get access to the award-winning rankings, draft cheat sheet, player projections, DFS and betting content as well. And you can use promo code F6P pods to save 15%. All right, Sheena, let's jump right into things here. And we'll start off with Bryce Young. He had a really strong finish to 2024, and it was good to see. I've been a big fan of his since college. Um, has he carried that momentum into training camp this year?
Absolutely. I know that he got together with the receivers. They had a couple of trips, maybe like three or four different training trips that they went on in the off season, just developing and working on that timing and that chemistry and things like that. And I will say this, I think that what we have to start looking at when we look at Bryce Young, instead of looking at the back half of last season as being the anomaly, we need to look at his rookie season as being the anomaly. This is the Bryce Young that should have been picked at one. This is the Bryce Young that won the Heisman. This is who Bryce Young is. So instead of, and I'm not saying that you do this, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, is he going to be able to carry that on? The anomaly was his rookie season. That was the anomaly. This is who Bryce Young is. This is
Yeah.
this is the Bryce Young that became Bryce Young, that made Bryce Young a household name. So I think we should definitely look at it as the norm rather than the anomaly. But yeah, that has absolutely carried over into training camp. He is a leader through and through. We're able to see a little bit more of his personality when he's in the press conferences and things like that. And just you see him kind of coaching up some of the younger players in between reps and things like that. So I think that I wouldn't say it's going to be a breakout year. I don't like using the word breakout, but I think Bryce Young has arrived. I think that's
Yeah,
that's what I want. That's the terminology I would use. He's arrived.
that's a good one. I like it. Yeah, like I said, I've been a big fan of his since college. And I was disappointed his rookie year. Even the beginning of last year, it was like, oh boy, maybe he's just a bust. And then bam, it all clicked, and he looked real good. He's got a new weapon. We'll talk about him in a second too. So Chuba Hubbard though became kind of a surprise workhorse. Like he kind of got there, and you're like, hey, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He has really surprised people, but I feel like he's not getting enough credit where it's due.
Yeah,
Is he
that's true.
still a workhorse back there, or is there somebody else kind of like that's going to take more carries from him? Because it always feels like, at least from a fantasy standpoint, people are looking for an excuse for Chuba not to be the guy.
I think that they are looking for that because number one, when your team wins, people look at you differently. And let's just
Hmm.
be honest, when it comes to Pro Bowl and national recognition and just respect all around, if your team is losing, not a lot of people are putting a lot of stock into the individual players unless you're just being terrible, unless you're just playing really bad. Then they're like, oh, yeah, your team sucks, and so do you. But as far as those guys getting the recognition and attention and respect that they deserve, sometimes it's shadowed by the fact that the team isn't winning. And hopefully that will turn around this year. But for Chuba Hubbard, he was in the shadows of Christian McCaffrey. Great back.
Hmm.
He was in the shadows of Miles Sanders when Miles Sanders came over because Miles Sanders got paid handsomely. So he was
Hmm.
supposed to be the guy. Chuba was kind of always flying under the radar, always just working away, working away, working away. And then bam, when the stage is set and the opportunity is there for him, we see what happened last season. And as far as him being a workhorse, they did add Rico Dowdle, which made me wonder why. I want to say it was ESPN earlier this morning that ranked the Panthers running back room as like the worst in the league. That's just someone that hasn't done their homework. And I haven't really looked at their assessment, but I can almost guarantee you they're saying that same old narrative of Panthers don't have an offensive line. And that when you tell me that, I'm not arguing football with you because clearly you haven't watched the Panthers over the last season. If you still feel like that offensive line narrative is what you want, is the hill that you want to die on. So as soon as I see that, I'm not arguing football with you. Like you're, what do they say? You're a casual. But I think that, and Rico Dowdle's another one of those guys like Chuba that kind of flew under the radar, but he had 1,000 yard season last season.
Hmm.
So I don't see how you have 2,000 yard backs and they rank you as the worst running back room in the league. I just don't see how that happens. But I do think that Chuba will be able to take some plays off if that's what you're asking, and I don't think that there would be a huge drop off. With Dowdle back there, again, he was able to run for 1,000 yards last year, just like Chuba was. So I wouldn't say that he isn't a workhorse. Chuba runs hard. Chuba's going to run hard every single down, every single time that he touches the ball. So I would just say that Dowdle will come in and spell him Chuba's RB1.
Hmm.
But, Rico Dowdle isn't a slouch either.
If you had to guess, what would the split be between these two?
Maybe 65-35.
All right. I'll take that for Chuba in fantasy. I like that. That's
Just
good.
just because this is Chuba's team,
Yeah.
Rico's here, and that's not talking about his talent level is any lower, but like this is Chuba's team. He's the first person at practice on the field at practice. He's probably gonna have a C on his jersey. He just got paid
Yeah.
last season, so this is Chuba Hubbard's team.
Yeah. No, I like that. Like I said, let's jump back into the passing game, and of course the new fancy weapon, McMillan over there. How have him and Bryce Young looked? I know he had a good preseason game, but it's just
Yeah.
preseason, so take it with a grain of salt. But how have they looked in camp?
They've looked good. I think that Tetairoa McMillan has had, the learning curve that any rookie would have. He had some down days in camp, and he's had some excellent days in camp. But as they continue to kind of chip away at the newness, and he gets more familiar with the concepts and things like that, I think that's the connection that people want to keep their eyes on. He's big. He catches everything. He has hands of Velcro for sure. But I do think that connection is something that everybody should keep an eye on as the season progresses.
Yeah, I know there were some like his stats in college were amazing, but there were some red flags with his game coming into the pros, and so it's good to see him have pretty immediate success even in preseason. Like, this is going to get his confidence up, and hopefully that carries over.
I mean,
There's a lot of
that
yeah.
catch
Sorry,
on
what?
Derek Stingley yesterday at practice certainly will boost the
Yeah,
approval rating for McMillan here in Carolina because
for
Stingley's a
sure.
great corner.
Yeah,
Sting,
he's climbing up the boards. I'll tell you that
yeah.
for sure. So now there are a lot of other names in this receiver room. Got Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, McMillan, Jalen Coker. Who's the next up after McMillan?
Right now, I would say Xavier Legette. They want to continue to develop him. You can never count out Adam Thielen. He has sure
Yeah,
hands. He's a route technician. I think everybody heard Cooper DeJean say that his welcome to the NFL moment was Adam Thielen, and with judging how Cooper DeJean's rookie season went, that is high praise. I
yeah.
think that Adam Thielen's still doing this at a very high level. He's able to lead by example rather than just being a vet presence that's just mentoring these younger guys. He's out there doing it. He hasn't lost a step. He's not slower. And I think that you can never really rule Adam Thielen out. Adam is a safety blanket for sure because when it comes down to it, Bryce knows where Adam's going to be. It's very, very, very rare that he's thrown off of his route. So I would have to say I'm going to give wide receiver two a toss up between Leggett and Thielen as far as target share, so to
All
speak.
right. Now I'm gonna throw a little bonus at you here. I didn't send this ahead of time. I'm curious about Jatavian Sanders. Had a little bit of
I'm,
hype coming in.
I'm glad you
How
brought
is
him
he?
up.
Has he been progressing and looking better this year? Looking like he's going to take a step forward.
He is, and he slimmed down. I don't know if you've seen videos or pictures, but I was like, man, Xavier looks like a wide receiver out here. But actually, for your other question, is as far as like a fantasy sleeper, for me, it's JT Sanders, and I call
Okay.
him a sleeper because the tight end position at Carolina hasn't been an offensive weapon in terms of like pass catching, since Greg Olson. And I do think that Jatavian Sanders brings that element and that, distinct skill set to this offense. And I do think that they will utilize him more. I think that he had flashes last year. He dealt with an injury, was knocked out of a game. He was
Mhm.
balling that game. I mean, he was absolutely hooping that game. That's my sleeper for fantasy. I think that he continues to
Okay.
develop. He is tight end one by and far. And I do think that you see him get involved a lot more in the passing game.
That's great news. Especially for us dynasty people. I've got him stashed somewhere. That's what was a little selfish question there that I threw in there. So obviously Sanders is an under the radar guy, but we always end with this. Is there any other like under the radar player, somebody that fantasy managers may not be paying attention to right now that they should be keeping in their back pocket, maybe on that little watch list or whatever?
Let's see. I would say that McMillan is under the radar, so we can't say him. Um, I'm gonna go Xavier Legette. I think a lot of people
Okay.
are counting him out because the Panthers did go and take a receiver in the top 10 after taking him in the first round the year before. I think that he's getting lost in the shuffle a bit. He is uh he's been prone to a lot of criticism because of his size. He is a bigger wide receiver. He's a DK Metcalf type of build, and I think that he's going to continue to lean into his skill set. And I think that he could surprise some people this year. He had, some drops last year. A lot of people were complaining that he caught with his body. Those are things that he concentrated on this offseason. And I think that that's other than JT Sanders. I think that Legette is your sleeper, and I know that some people might think, he's one year removed from being a first round pick. How can he be a sleeper? Because
Mhm.
he's in Carolina and because people like to doubt the Panthers. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah,
But I
no,
do
there's no
think that
doubt.
Legette could be your sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's sadly been a while. I'm wearing a Commander's hat. I'm
Yeah.
I'm right there with you as far as long droughts. Uh,
Yeah.
it's been a while, so I feel the pain. But all right, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been great. Learned a lot. Before we close out, though, I want to give you a chance to let everybody know where they can find you and what you've got going on this season.
So I live tweet all the games at Sheena_Marie and the number three. I do cover the Panthers for Fox Sports 1340 AM. They also cover your Commanders and your Ravens, so
Okay,
to speak. So you can catch my game recaps and things about just news around surrounding the team leading up to the games every week. You can find that at foxsports1340am.com. And on the YouTube page, quick out the blocks. I'm doing a camp series right now called Defending the Bank. I think that we all know what the defense did last year, what they didn't do. They gave up the most points and yards in NFL history. So I focus, my attention on how this defense is going to rebuild and redeem themselves. And that camp series is called Defending the Bank. There's 2 episodes up now.
great. Sounds good. Everybody, go make sure you check that out. Again, thank you, Sheena. And if you're still around, make sure you hit that playlist right here where all the rest of the videos will be showing up. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.